around Cockburn for the best part of 60 years, would like to tell you, to the best of my knowledge, of the Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association of the Cockburn area. Originally it was the Fruit Growers Association, and then within a month or so they changed it to the Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association. So, in other words, it was formed in 1913, and the first president of the association was William Watson, well-known founder of Watsonia Foods. Vice president was Pierce, Newman, Chamberlain, Dowse, Brindle. Secretary was Osborne, treasurer Simper, auditors Bolton and Carpenter. Committee, Pierce, Anderson, Whittam, Dowse, Bailey, Clark, MacLeod, Newman, Andry and Strand. This plaque is in commemoration. This memorial was placed here by the City of Cockburn in commemoration of the original pioneers of the Spearwood District Fruit Growers and Market Gardens Association, who had the foresight to purchase this valuable piece of land and hold it for the benefit of the district. Dedicated by Mr. A. Dowse on behalf of the association, November 1979. Where I'm filming now is approximately where the old hall stood, the old Fruit Growers Hall. And this is the general area. The next few shots are the general area of the Fruit Growers Association. We apologise to certain sections of the grounds because around the new building, etc., the grounds have been pretty heavily cut up, but it won't be long before they'll be lush green. The early meetings were held at Watson's Rooms in High Street, Fremantle. In those days our district was known as the Fremantle District Roads Board, which was founded in February 1871 and continued until 1955 when it was changed to the Cockburn District Roads Board. War breaking out in 1914 delayed the intentions of the Fruit Growers Committee for the purchasing of land suitable for their own headquarters. Eventually they selected the prime acreage of land which is today our district or city headquarters. So it is our pioneers we have to thank for their foresight in selecting land overlooking the district of Cockburn. After purchasing the land, they then looked around for a suitable building for their headquarters. At that time, around mid-1920s, there was a medical wing or ward of the Fremantle Hospital for sale. So it was purchased and relocated on the Fruit Growers Hill, which today would be on the south side of the reception centre. Isn't our new building beautiful? The hall was used constantly by the people of Cockburn, and for many years was the headquarters of the Spearwood Rovers Soccer Club, now Cockburn United, also the Spearwood Gymnastic Club. The Spearwood Gymnastic Club was the first to vacate the hall, and by the 1960 era, the Fruit Growers and Market Gardens Association was almost defunct. So this left the soccer club to keep the Fruit Growers, as the area was called, name and the area intact. That is the caretaker's new premises. The bowling club, which originally was the soccer ground, number 1 soccer ground around the parking area was the Civic Centre, is the number 2 soccer ground. The Fruit Growers used to hold annual shows and had a track around the area where horse racing and other events were held. In other words, it was a day well known in the metropolitan area. All market gardens, all this area in the early days. Under that big tree there was the old vestry. Now this was the Fruit Growers Hall, Unfortunately, it was the only photo that I could get. That is the inside of the hall when it was being demolished. As you can see, big enough but not that big. And of course at the back end was the supper room or kitchen, or call it what you like. For many years with the soccer headquarters, and many years the fruit growers. This is the soccer building, is Ray Lee's ute there. When we were re-erecting it from the mill, we transported it, cut it in half and transported it from the Melville camp, but more on that later. This is the vicinity where that building was, in adjacent to what the soccer ground was, where the bowling club is today. The soccer club's finance was always a problem, and with the added burden of maintaining the fruit growers area, it was a greater problem. So in 1962, the soccer club approached the Fruit Growers Committee, which was then days being held together by Mr. Alf Dowse, son of the J. Dowse on the original Fruit Growers Committee, and a Mr. Tom Evis, well-known pioneer family also of Cockburn. A meeting was called early in 1962 and attended by representatives of the Fruit Growers Association, the soccer club and the council. I remember it well because I was the delegate for the soccer club. This is building the new change room of the soccer club, and fruit growers too, as we call it. This is in the vicinity where the library is today, and there was the new change rooms, almost finished. As you see, the windows had to go in, and that bank is there today because it's just down from the library, and that bank was planted by all the soccer boys. And that was the ground after it was got ready by the soccer club. That's myself in the centre with two of my sons, Bob and Brian, and they today are in their late 40s. So eventually, with only, say, two main provisos, the land was handed over to the council for a modest fee. One of the provisos was a hall to be built, and that the soccer club must be given a piece of land on a 99-year lease. This was carried out on a lease agreement in 1963. That was the first soccer team, Spearwood versus Caledonians, played on the Fruit Growers, and that was in 1931, this particular game. And as you can see, the tower and the tower base, which is there, still there today, the roof is gone, but that building is still there today. But at the time, a lease of 21 years was all that was allowed. So 21 years with an option of renewal was signed. The area of land is where the Cockburn Bowling Club is today. Well, some say, how come the bowling club is there? Well, long overdue was a bowling club in Cockburn. So the intention was for the soccer club to let the bowling club be formed on their lease area, and the council, we leased a different section where the bowling club is, the council parking areas today, and we would develop a soccer ground next to the old ground. So the good intentions of all concerned was for the district to have a sporting complex on the Fruit Growers Reserve, as them days the Fruit Growers Reserve was the soccer ground. Hence the name of Cockburn Bowling, and the recreational side of the club was to be for other sports. There was tennis courts already on the site, you'll see them shortly. Matter of fact, this is the sites of them there now. Although needing repair, that could have also been carried out at little cost. Well, what happened? Why did not development go as a sporting complex? Why did it not develop? Well, the council of the day, with the district development increasing rapidly in the 1960s and 70s, decided to build a new headquarters. And what better place than on the Fruit Growers Hill? Beautiful site as foreseen by our early pioneers. By this time the soccer club were established on their new ground, Fruit Growers 2, and the bowling club were winning pennants and still are. But an area was required for parking for our new council headquarters. So what happens? The soccer club once again were on the move. Hence the soccer club today have one of the best facilities for both junior and senior soccer in the state. Yes, the Civic Centre Stage 1 was built where the old Fruit Growers Hall used to stand, and today we are hence to witness the opening of our Civic Centre Stage 2. What a lovely building standing on the area of land that our pioneers of yesteryears purchased. Wouldn't they be proud to see it all today? But to all of us oldies, it is still referred to as the Fruit Growers. Hello Tony, it's Tony, our past city manager. This is the morning of the 93 Australia Day breakfast prior to the opening of our Civic Centre Stage 2. Ray Lees, our Deputy Mayor, as I mentioned earlier, that was Ray's ute, and we were assembling the old, well it was old, it was a building we purchased from Melville Camp for our soccer headquarters. And Ray played a big part in the resurrecting of that, but later on we'll tell you all more about the old well and things generally. To our district pioneers, let us say, life's work well done, life's race well run, life's crown well won, now they rest. That is overlooking Cockburn from the south side of the new upstairs section of the building, and this is overlooking Cockburn from the city manager's office. As stated, the Fruit Growers Hill overlooks Cockburn. Watsonia played a big part in Cockburn, purchased the land here in 1908. Prior to that they were slaughtering pigs down at what is today's Davolac Oval.
This is a significant day in the City of Cockburn's history, and as such, Council is pleased to hold this ceremony in conjunction with the national celebration to mark Australia Day. His Worship Mayor Beale will be performing the opening ceremony, and I now ask that you direct your attention to him. Worship Mayor Beale.
Thank you, Rod. We have many distinguished visitors, so if you would bear with me, I will mention them, and in doing so, of course, sincerely welcome each and every one of you on behalf of my council and the staff of the City of Cockburn to this Australia Day ceremony, and later to the official opening of our building. With us, we're very proud and pleased to have Mr. John Dawkins, the federal member for Fremantle, and his wife Maggie. We have Mr. Clive Griffiths, the MLC in South Metropolitan Region, Mr. Gary Kelly, MLC from the South Metropolitan, Mr. Bill Thomas, MLA, the member for Cockburn. We have Mr. Wally Hagan, OIM, JP Freeman and Mrs. Hagan, Mr. Miro Sidarov, OIM and JP, and our councillors and partners, and all of you distinguished guests. For Australia Day, I don't think the weather could have been prescribed any better. It's beautiful. We had a couple of foul-ups with the sound system. Then again, there are people who say that Cockburn likes to be a little different, so you went in first and we'll open the building after. So that's why there's been a delay, but back to Australia Day. From 1788 to 205 years down the track, I think it pays to look at our history, to be very proud, extremely proud of our achievements, to realise that we can now, after such a short time, really a short time by world standards. We can export technology. In the questions of defence technology, we have had some incredibly great successes, and even better in medicine, in the engineering field, and in many others. In some we can say safely that we're recognised and lead in particular areas throughout the world. And I just quote one where we've led with the Civic engine. Unfortunately, we collectively didn't have the foresight to be able to keep it here. But in looking at all those successes, we must, I feel, cast our mind to our mistakes. In an effort from those mistakes to learn that we'll not only endeavour to correct them in the future, but to realise more fully the treasure we hold, this wonderful country. The mistakes are the things that we have seen to have done and not cared about in the environment. Many of you would rank the same age as myself and would remember beautiful streams with crystal clear water, with swamps and wetlands that didn't show signs of salt. And at the time we did our best and thought we were progressing in the right way and went in full bore, even in mining, and we have done incredible damage for which, thank God, our grandchildren will not fully realise the sins we've committed, because they would never have known what it was like before. But we mustn't dwell on that too much. We did what we thought was right. The question is, have we learnt? Are we in the future going to endeavour to try and reinstate? And if the will is there and the money is there, it can be done. If the political aspirations are there, it can be done. And we collectively must see that it is done. I think when Admiral Cockburn first gave the name to the city of Cockburn and to this area of Cockburn, the Sound there, and that's where we got ours from, little did he know how far we would progress in such a short space of time. But it behoves all of us to remember that Australia Day is something really to be treasured and to be remembered, and I think probably we need another couple of generations from the mix of our society now and our population to fully develop a real national spirit, a spirit that when the flag is raised we swell our chests with pride, a spirit that says, this is mine, my native land. And it will come. It will come. It will come like it did in the States. And though we may change our status, be it republic, be it whatever, when we get that real inner feeling, all the generations, all our offspring, that is the symbol of our unity, that represents what we stand for, that represents a wonderful place to live, a country with an enormous potential, enormous increase yet in population as possible. So I say to you, there is no more fitting day than Australia Day, this day, to make those remarks. And it draws to mind, in closing on that issue, that one of the gentlemen who works on our outside staff said to me this morning, isn't it great to celebrate Australia Day on the day it really is? And I thought that was beautiful. I thought that's a step forward. So forget the long weekend syndrome. Let's strike out for the day when it happens, be proud of it and demonstrate it. And I'd now like to, with those remarks, ask my good wife, June, to come forward. And we have a representative of our Navy, of which we're extremely proud of, to perform this flag-raising ceremony while we all sing the national anthem. Feel right? You know, I love to sing the national anthem, but I've got a shocking voice, and fancy me spoiling such a wonderful rendition as just given by Mary McKinnon. That would be terrible. Thank you, Mary, that was beautiful. Doesn't it get to you? It's wonderful. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank a few people, and general acknowledgements are extended to one of our very prominent corporate citizens in Watson's Foods, who's come to the party to make a success with the breakfast, the Cockburn Voluntary Emergency Service for doing the cooking, the first Spearwood Guides, HMAS Sterling. I've always got a soft spot for our Navy, and boy, thanks to Sid Shepperton, we managed to get Paul with us. To Mary McKinnon, I've already spoke of, our wonderful singer. To Mrs. Olga Ellis, the organist. And not to be forgotten, the Cockburn Bowling Club. I'll speak more of them later. And I guess that concludes the Australia Day ceremony, and we'll go now straight direct, as there are people who want to leave, very important people who have other duties. We'll go straight to this building. Planning for this building that started approximately 3 years ago. The site options was Jandicott. Most of you, or a lot of you, would know that there's going to be a population explosion in generalities in that area, something like another 30,000 people. So the options were Jandicott, or do we maintain and stay with what we have built onto it, because it seemed to not only have original significance, direct significance to the city of Cockburn and its background, it's probably seen as the centre for commerce, which is here now and what is to come. It's probably closer to all the facilities. But I think one of the main reasons is the way it was acquired should never be forgotten. The old Fruit Growers Association gave us the land. God knows what it's worth today. And at that time they said you can have it providing you build us a hall. So we tore down what they had and we built them a hall, a nice hall. And from there we've continued to grow. It's taken 3 years in the planning stage, and there's quite a few people who've been very directly involved with that. First of all, the architects. For $3.5 million worth of development, you need to select a good architect. Expressions of interest were called, and we settled for those of Tsiglis and Zavella. And I think those who have been through the building and see from the outside would agree with me that they've done us proud, done you proud. People inside have said, gee, it's nice, it's beautiful. My answer is, I really hope you like it, it's yours, we're only minding it. But I think the architects have done us proud. There are a few small things to tie up, but we'll get there. We must not forget the bowling club, right across the road. Without their direct cooperation, who share a lot of this land with us, without their being willing to put up with the inconvenience we have caused them in dust and sand and you name it, had they protested violently, there might have been a change of direction. But they had enough faith in this council, as we have in them, to see that what we're about to do would stand them for the next 20 to 30 years without any problems, and to demonstrate our will to progress, to be proud of what we have, and to do our very, very best to make it even better. Key West, the builders, done a remarkable job. There was John McGrath and Mario Sacco on the job all the time. I think Mario had a direct link with God, because every time he was about to pour concrete, the skies cleared, the sun came out, and they never came back till he finished pouring. Remarkable. And Steve Mahoney from Tosiglas and Bella kept his eye on it all the way. And then there's the Your Inside staff, mine and yours, and I'm extremely proud. They didn't even, I'm sorry, it wasn't even just a case of all these councillors, and your mayor's done a wonderful job. The councillors have stood by me, the councillors have given me direction, and those directions have been handed to the staff, and I would be amiss of me not to mention the city manager, Mr. Rod Brown, who worked a tremendous amount of hours trying to bring everything together and see it was in line with administration requirements and with what council wanted. The previous city manager is here with us today, Mr. Tony Armorigo. He also played a tremendous part. Vince Green, or Don Green, sorry, we have two Greens now, I have to be careful. Don is our new assistant city manager. He played a large part. Vince Green also put a lot into it. And a little lady called Rhonda Benjamin running around tying up the loose ends. Laurie Manane and his crew, you see these gardens, they put them all in inside a couple of weeks. It's got a little bit of a touch of Hawaii about it, but I like it. I hope you do. I think he's done a remarkable job. I certainly wouldn't like to forget my secretary, Sue Ellis. She's worried herself sick, poor girl. She's done an extremely good job of trying to bring all this together. And before I proceed further, I'd like you to put your hands together for all of those just mentioned and give them a good clap. 10 years, it got extremely crowded. And when we built that and opened it, we thought, plenty of room, this will do us for longer than that. No, we are growing. We're getting much more response from governments. Much more care is being shown. We're also taking on a lot of new roles in community services. The staff is doubled in approximately the 10 years. Hopefully this building will last for the next 20. Some of you might have seen what they thought was a degree of opulence in a lot of excess space. Yes, there is a lot of excess space. It's built for a reason. It's built to cater for the future. We also have an eye to business. Quite a bit of it's being leased to community services people, to any entrepreneur who wants to start in the district. There's office space there available until such time as we need it. We already have some takers. The expenditure in 1979, the revenue that was spent in this local authority was something like 0.38 million. Today is something like 27 million and growing. It's a lot of money. It's probably double in the next 10 years. I say that to remind you of the progress that's happening in the city of Cockburn. We had a staff of 120 10 years ago. We now have 270. We did a little bit of a book count on what we're worth, what your city is worth in terms of its assets. It totals something like $40 million. Having said all that, there's nothing left for me other than a great deal of pride to thank so many of you for turning up, for our Girl Guides and all those who played some official part, and to officially declare this building, your building, for the city of Cockburn, officially open. Thank you.
Where we do have a citizenship ceremony and a presentation to
Fruit Growers whilst an association carried out development which our district has benefited greatly. Electricity. Power lines were only as far as the Newmarket Hotel. They were responsible for the extension through to the market garden areas. The Spearwood globe onion, known throughout Australia, was developed by the fruit growers and market gardeners. Members, just to name two of several, and not to forget this beautiful piece of real estate where our Civic Centre stands today. Yes, founded in 1913, and we're making this video 1993, 80th anniversary year of the association's foundation. These are a few shots of the original members of the Fruit Growers Association. If anybody wishes to see them, they're in the library, and I can assure you all that they were all gentlemen. I had the privilege to know most of them, and really they were really and truly district pioneers. Yes, I can remember the day when there was no main road running past the fruit growers. To the north, the road, Rockingham Road, finished at the RSL Hall, Hamilton Hill. And you came along Hamilton Road, down Kent Street, Sussex Street, past the old War Memorial, down Rigby Avenue, and you picked up Rockingham Road again. Rockingham Road in the south only went up as far as the present day Spearwood Avenue. In those days, people had the art of communicating, talking to one another, helping one another. Today's a world of high technology. So are we losing the art of communicating? I often wonder. Hence the saying, the good old times, the grand old times, they may be thought too slow. But give me back the good old days of 50 years ago. Sorry about the lettering there, but as I say, if you would like to see the photos, they are in the Spearwood Library. Yes, all these gentlemen worked very hard for our district of Cockburn. And quite a few of their descendants are still working hard today. This administration building was officially opened by His Worship Mayor D.F. Miguel J.P. on Australia Day, 26th of January 1993. And I think you'll all agree that we're at the ceremony, that it was a marvellous speech, and in all, a wonderful morning. I hope you enjoyed learning about how this wonderful piece of real estate is what it is today. So if you hear someone talk about the fruit growers, well, you will know it is one of us oldies. The next segment of film will tell you something about more history of the fruit growers, but unfortunately being filmed years ago with different... A lot of the pioneer lads of the Spearwood Rovers Soccer Club. All these gentlemen have played their part in the club in one way and another. And I say gentlemen because I can assure you each and every one of them are gentlemen. And I think this is the reason why we had so much success with the club. Alf, you got a bit of a script there on a few points of interest, plus possibly some of the boys will bring up other points of interest. Would you like to start the ball rolling, please, Alf?
Yes, from the time that this ground was opened in 1931, it had quite a rise. I used to refer to it as downhill, kicking downhill or kicking uphill. Through the mid-30s, several attempts were made to level it. Well, I know we had lots of efforts with wheelbarrows and shovels, and then later on Bill Struyer came in and possibly one or two other trucks, and we spent a lot of time of a Sunday morning on busy bees. Perhaps Fred Dobber, you could recall that. You were one of the main workers in this bee.
Yeah, we could recall that. I can recall that. Sorry.
Fred had the biggest shovel.
Yeah, the biggest tractor lad too.
You were the strongest man, Fred. You used to pick up all the rocks.
Well, all the boys worked exceptionally hard. There's no getting away from that. I mean, say they all did their share. I wouldn't say I did any more than anybody else, but Alan Beale, he was always there urging us on. And with a man like him, I mean, say we couldn't do anything else but try out the harvest. And
You'll get on, Fred.
at a later stage, the young fellas they put in. But talking about a bit of humour and all that, we used to have these soccer games.
A little microphone problem, but Fred was saying about the contribution that Archie Patterson made to the club, as he was the owner when the fruit growers first started with the soccer on the east side of the ground, and consequently him and his daughter Beth used to quite often help him. Beth was the one that you saw I interviewed just previous to this section, but he had a vineyard and orchard there, and he later sold it to Sam Raboni, and that is of course where the school ground is today.
And then as time went on, we, through the efforts of Mr. Stroyer, who was our wonderful president for many years, we managed to get help and a contractor, I think, with Horses and Scoop, made a good effort, not a perfect effort, but quite a good effort at levelling the ground. And I think that the cost was something like £67. And that was a wonderful relief when we eventually got it grassed and got back to something which was not level, but far more level than it had been for the years that we've been playing previously. As time went on, we had to have more water on the ground, and this necessitated a lot of work down the well. The old well hadn't been used for years, and we had busy bees in trying to deepen the well and upgrade the equipment down there. I think a great deal of credit for this work goes to Ray Lease. Ray was wonderful in getting down that well. He'd be down the well and working while the rest of us were thinking about it. He was such a good hard worker. Ray, could you comment at all on about shooting the snake, etc.?
Yes, well, I can go back, I think the well was around the 90 feet, if I remember rightly, maybe a little bit more, but around the 90 feet. It wasn't very safe well at one stage of the game there because of the pockets and things like that, but we did, with the help of Jack and a few others, and make a safe ladder way down there, and we had to go down quite often to bleed the pump. So this time I had to go down to bleed the pump to get water, possibly for showers or whatever it might have been after the game, or water the grounds. And we got down there and there was a snake sitting right across the pump. So there's no way that Ray was going to go down there and put his hand on to bleed the pump, so we got Norrie Packham, and he had a shotgun at the time, and we got the shotgun and we went halfway down the well, and I was a bit afraid to pull the trigger because being in a well I didn't know what effect it might have on your eardrums, but it was quite a soft bang, and the snake went and we bled the pump. We ended up getting water for showers or whatever it might have been to water the ground, but yeah, it was a good effort from all the boys at the well at the time, because without the well we wouldn't have had the ground, to play on, because of the water we needed and everything else under,
Is that the well they're still using today, right?
That's the well we're still using today at the Cockburn Council. They have covered it more or less in now and used it as a bore now, and still using to water all the grounds of the Civic Centre.
I think we put a huge pipe in the top, didn't we, originally, to make it safe, because the timbers were rotted out.
It was very rotted at the time. They ended up putting a cement pipe in the top to make it safe again.
Yes, that's correct. As the years went by, we decided that the fruit growers the hall was a little bit far away to change rooms, and a building was bought ex the Melville Army Camp. Could anyone tell us more about that building which was bought and erected near down here to the ground?
Well, I was pretty well involved with it at the time, because I was being a waterside worker, had a bit of time off, probably idle time, and with the help of Alan Beale and quite a few others, we went out there to have a look at it on site, and ended up, I think Alan did the main work as a carpenter, cutting it, and getting it moved out here. I think we had, if I remember, I think it was 2 jiggers to bring it here, and it was erected possibly where the car park is now, in the centre of the car park. Looked a bit shabby those times, but it was our club, and we were proud of it, you know. And we didn't like the boys kicking the balls up on the roof on it, because all the plaster work was still pretty good nick from when it came from the camp. And it did us for quite a few years, I think, until we did eventually move from this ground. So as far as I was concerned, it was a very good club, and it was appreciated by all. I can remember one stage of that club of when my Ellen was a baby, and we were playing windmills at the time, and we had a tank stand right on the corner of that building, and someone raced down from the windmills and knocked my baby out of the pram, and Rose took to him with the umbrella, and they said they're looking for the black fella, and the black fella was George Brenzy at the time. And George Brenzy got up in the tank stand, he said, well, he's the black fella, if you want me coming over here, anyways. No one offered him, so that was the end of that story. But Alan grew up to be quite a good lad after that.
And who was responsible for the work that was done on putting the fence around so that we could charge an admission fee?
Yeah, well, at that stage, if I may, we were going around, me and Rose at the time, we were wrapped up with the reserve team, as Alf knows quite well at the time, and charging a mission, trying to get a quid for both teams, and we took the till around there one day, handshake, and probably got about £2 or £3 in it, which was a pretty good effort. So I thought, well, this is no good. So on a Saturday morning, I went into Swan Hardware, brought three rolls of 3-foot wire. I think it cost us about £3.10. We come down and erected it between all the Banksy trees on the hill there. And the first game was on Swan Valley that day, and I think we ended up taking £21, which was a very good effort.
Very good. Now, Jack, could you tell us about you having your tractor and roller here and trying to roll out some of the holes and bumps?
Well, to get that roller, I think we got it from the Fremantle Golf Club or something.
Fremantle Council, Jack.
Fremantle Council.
At Stephen Street.
And Neville, I think it was Neville Cork and myself went out to tow it home with our old 1935 Chev truck. And I think it was a horse-drawn one. And then when we brought it up here, we must have altered it a little bit to be towed with a tractor. We tried every home game. I used to come up and tow this thing around. And as many as you know, I don't think many of you do know, one day I had me kit bag or case, whatever you want to call it, on the back of it had a tray on top, and this case fell off and I run over it. And I don't think many of you knew about that. I just flattened the things out on my boots, but I still had to straighten them out and play that day with the same gear that got run over. So that's about all I can remember about that.
And John, you might have been secretary when we bought the big Rainwell sprinkler, were you?
I can recall that because it was my roster day up here, and I was by myself and I was shifting the blooming thing, and I knocked it over and I broke the thing on the end.
Oh, it was you who did that.
That's right.
Just going into it now.
So I got to do the right thing, and I chased all over Fremantle to try and get a place that would fix it, because it was an alloy. But eventually one day I was going past a little workshop down at the end of Lower Street where I was working in Public Works, and one of the triplets there. He had, they're near the sandblasters, I think. And cut a long story short, I was very lucky that, well, I was very relieved that I brought it into him and he was able to repair it. That was less triple. That was less triple.
John, what about the old fire hose? I think you used to be the collector of that also, didn't you?
Oh yes, well the Public Works always had a bit of surplus gear, and somehow or other used to scrounge some of the old fire hoses. They weren't much good, but they did the job.
Can anyone remember during these busy bees a flagon or a bottle or a couple of bottles of wine coming up from Frank Bassage's vineyard?
Yes, I can.
And setting us all in a good mood or otherwise to finish the job?
Remember that, Henry?
Yes, I can remember. I can still see old Frank with his 2 or 3 flagons of pump.
It was quite a revival,
You
wasn't
still
it?
taste it.
Hot and thirsty?
He was a good bloke.
Yeah, I can remember when that we were putting that. It was a 7-foot segment in the Hume piping at the top there, and Frank used to bring this faggot up. We used to dilute it down, but by you, it's hot weather, and we were sweating before it started. And old Frank, by the time we'd finished, we were
sweating over more.
That perspiration was coming out blue. He used to give us a nice brand of black wine.
Laurie Summich was quite useful at that time too. He had the garden here, and if he could possibly see his way clear, he'd put 1 or 2 sprinklers down on the end of his line, because we were thankful for every drop of water we could get to try and get that cooch covered, ready for the oncoming season. Who can tell us about the efforts of old Jack White? I think this might be for you, Henry. Jack White, the wonderful work that he did with his salt bath and getting the boys fit for Saturday.
Gentle Johnny.
Jack White,
I know Jack White, don't worry.
Gentle Johnny, he used to call
I
him.
think you got, when you got hurt on 1 or 2 occasions and you could hardly walk, was it knee trouble? And anyway, he did a lot of good for all of us in turn, a great believer in the old salt bath. And Jack White was a real good old standby. I've seen him standing out on the sideline there in case anyone got injured on a wet day, one particular day on the Esplanade. There was no spectators, they'd all run for cover, but Jack stood firm. He said, if these boys get injured, I want to be on the job.
I first knew Jack, was it West Perth, Fred? You took me up there. Or you told me where you were.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's right.
And,
What about his swear box?
That was good. That was a good idea. But,
Kept the club going.
how I got to know Jack White was I busted my thigh playing against at Hamilton Hill when we were playing at Hamilton Hill Reserve there.
yeah, that's been
Against, I think it was against Bassadine at the time. Anyhow, I went to quite a lot of masseurs and quite a lot of doctors, and they said I'd be crippled for life. I had hardly any use in my leg. That was my left leg on account of the thigh. So anyhow, I heard of Jack White, and Jack White said, I'll fix that. I said, yeah. I said, that's what a lot of others said. He said, well, don't pay me a cent if I don't. He said, it'll cost you 10 shillings a visit if I do. I said, fair enough. So anyhow, he had about 3 goes at it, and the leg came good with a lot of perseverance. And he had this electric thing he used to take right down, because he used to massage it. He used to run it down your leg, and you could feel these sinews parting away from the bone. The bone went callous. There's quite a lot of callus on that now. That size much bigger than the other one. And you can feel just by touching it, you can feel the callus there. And he just parted the sinews away from the callus, and I got full use of the leg. And I had full use of the leg for quite a while, right until I got to about the age of 60. And since then, I'm in the say, I've got about 3/4 use of it. I can't bend it right back like I can the right leg. But he did a real good job, and if he was still alive, I'm sure he could give me full use of that leg at the present time.
The Packham family played a very big part in the history of this club, right from its inception. And it's unfortunate we haven't got old Norrie with us. I think he passed away last year. But a great tribute must be paid to May. May was always here. She was a busy woman, she had a big family, but she spared no efforts in getting the teas ready for us for many, many years. And I'd just like to mention that, although I believe Alan is going to have a special interview with May as time goes on. Freddie, as the youngest secretary for many years, you were secretary, have you got any comments to make on the general being of the club for the first 20 years?
Oh, well, as you get older, the memory fades, and this is the importance of having this talk we're having here today, that you drag up these memories that can well be forgotten, and in the near future we'll find that many of us are part of it too, so the chances of making a successful videos we have doing now wouldn't be so well. So, but as far as important happenings, only a few of the clashes I had, I remember, and the scars that I carried. That's about all.
Billy Waddle.
Freddie was a wonderful little player and a tremendous asset to the club as secretary for how many years, Fred?
Oh, Joe, as the war came in, it was, I did in 1933 or 34 I came in. I was still going to high school. I felt I was roped in because I was a better footballer than a soccer player. I could never kick a soccer ball all the time that I played, really. But, yeah, the game seemed to be meant for me to be a footballer, but I felt I was roped in as secretary to make sure that I was a member of the soccer club for the team. And that's, and I grew loyal to it and gathered many a person into the playing field. So I suppose as secretary of the club, in the early part of the year, we'd find that registering players and chasing players and transfers kept you mighty busy, and you really needed a bit of a rest to carry on for the rest of the year.
You did a wonderful job for many, many years.
Can you remember how many years, Fred?
Yeah.
Well, the war years intervened. It was, but I bought a place of my own like most of us do, and it was had to be cleared and developed, and I found I had no time, and it was about 47, I presume. Jack Babbage, Johnny Nolan rather, he may be able to tell when he carried on.
Yeah, so I think it would have been about 47 or 48.
Mm-hmm.
The first year I took on the job, and I remember I was secretary in 1950 when we won the Charity Cup, and probably 3 or 4 years after that.
There's one thing that I would like to know, John.
I think the chap Mawson took over from me.
Well, I wouldn't know. I had full-time retired. But what happened to those minute books? I'd like to know what happened to them as a civil.
Well, you're dead right. I think I would have handed over to perhaps Ray Mawson. I would have handed them on.
Yes, it
because
was.
it's something I would have retained. I can remember that.
Yes, it was the duty of the secretaries to hand on to the oncoming secretary.
That's right,
Well, I'll tell you a little story about the minutes, Fred. When we moved up to the ground up where the parking area of the Civic Centre is now, we had a new secretary, I think, if I remember right, his name was Fred somebody, I won't mention his other name, but he was an Englishman, and he's passed on now. And I came up one morning to either clean the place up after a meeting or something or other, and what could there be but half a dozen books of our old minutes, etc., thrown in the rubbish bin. So needless to say, I salvaged them, and what I salvaged is down in my office today.
Oh, gosh, great memory.
And it goes back to, I know there's 32 is some of them.
Very good.
Several times during this era, we applied to the Fremantle Roads Board, or probably as it was in those days, or it might have been the Shire of Cockburn, for assistance. And the reply always came back that they couldn't give us assistance because we were operating on private property. At that time, I think we had a 99-year lease on these premises from the Fruit Growers Reserve, which means that all the work was done voluntarily and with very little money. So I think this is a great credit to this team that's here today for the efforts in persevering and keeping the club going as we did for all those years. And then eventually, Tricolour and later on Dalmatinex came and started and pinched a lot of our players. So we probably would have been stronger had that not have happened. Of course, that was inevitable anyway. That's all on the notes, Alan. Is there anything more you'd like to add?
Yeah, well, appertaining to the Tricolour boys and the Dallies boys, well, at the time that they started their clubs, they were players from the Spearwood Rovers Soccer Club that formed the Tricolour and the Dallies clubs. But still, they've been our mates ever since.
Also, I think shouldn't go on unforgotten is Mrs. Glamazzini every Saturday up here with the tickets, selling tickets and every dance and everything else, and she was a great contribution to this club. Mrs. Glamazzini followed on from Mrs. Brenzy. She was a forerunner and a great seller of tickets also and raised a lot of money. Correct. And Mrs. Glamazzini too.
Could we go back, Alan, just a little bit back to that, what the road board did? We know that they were prohibited from using anything, but we did have, Eugene Edwards used to bend the law just a little bit, and I can remember that Sandy Outram, or Sandy Dixon, I never found out but he used to come out here on his spare time with the council grader and did a bit of grading. That's about the only contribution that we got from them. They did give us a bit of equipment from time to time.
I can recall the job, one of the first jobs that the roads board did was they came up there once and they mowed the lawn and mowed the oval. I can recall that was council equipment.
They were very limited.
That's right.
It's no difference today to the council helping clubs. That's all they do now, as far as grounds and everything else. But at the time, I remember, with Jack Babbitt and quite a few others with our lawn mowers mowing in front of the bottom goals, because the top ones were pretty sandy anyhow. That's right. But the bottom goals we cut. But these days they get well looked after, all the clubs in this district.
We mentioned a lot of lakes that were associated with the club. Well, nobody's ever mentioned George Berry. He was associated with the club quite a lot. So was Dolph House, because he's passed on, but George Berry, I think he's still living, as far as I know. He's an MLA in Carnarvon, and I met him a couple of years ago. He looks very old. I didn't even recognise him, but he's still living, and he did quite a lot. As far as the club is concerned, he used to chair the chair when we had the meetings for the junior club. And I think if you look back at some of the photos and all that, in 1934, 35, you'll see George Berry in it. Also, Mr. Woodham's, he was associated with it very closely, and they used to come to all the meetings, and also Mr. Patterson, he was associated with it. And they used to come to all the meetings, and also they used to come to all the dances, support us with the dancers and also the matches. I think either Woodham's or Patterson was the treasurer. I'm not really certain of that. That was in the early days. And somebody might be able to put more light on those two chappies. And as far as George Berry's concerned, he must have been secretary to chair the meetings.
George was probably one of the original, at the original meeting. I remember even my brother Everett, who never took any part in soccer at all, but he was called to that meeting there. But I know that George carried on for a long, long time, and I agree with you, Fred, that he was probably secretary, treasurer or president over a number of years there in the early stages.
Yeah, in the early interviews, all those gentlemen had been mentioned, because Archie and George and all those boys, the Bosman boys and what, they were on the original committee, which has already been recorded.
Another name that pops up around that area was that old Reg Papworth. He was playing the umpires.
He was coach for a few years.
Yes, coaching. You always end up like to say.
There's another chap that comes to my mind, and that's the original caretaker of the Fruit Growers Hall, old Pop Williams. He, after we had the well working, the water supplied from our own means, Pop used to put the sprinklers on regularly. And one of the things I remember about him, particular, is the fact that he sat in on one of our meetings one night, and we were talking about the ground, what we should do and how we should go about it, because we had planted the ground in lawn, and he was watering it for us, and we were talking about how we could improve it. And he said, well, we could weed it to start with. Apparently the water he'd been putting on also brought up the weeds as well as the grass. And he said, well, how can we weed it without pulling out chopping out all the grass as well? And he said, get down on your hands and knees and pull it out by hand. So naturally we all laughed at him being an ex-employee in the gardens around Spearwood. He knew what it was like to sit on your haunches and hand weed. And he did eventually get right over that whole of that oval, pulling out the weeds by hand. So he was a great help in a lot of respects, Bob Williams.
Wonderful old bloke.
Matter of fact, and now getting back to Pop Williams, I think it's a point I've mentioned to Councilman Ray will vouch for this, that it's a pity today with all the vandalism that they couldn't put a room on for a pensioner or somebody on the centres that are being built throughout the district. A lot of money's being spent and they're all being badly vandalised, but I think you'll all remember when Pop was up there we had no maintenance to do, but the day that Pop left the game started again. So I think it's Pop, I'm glad you mentioned it, Nelly, was a great asset. Well, I think we've pretty well covered most things. I think we've been going for quite a while. But I'd just like to record the gentlemen that are at the meeting. There's Brian Beale, Ray Lees, Freddie Dobra, Johnny Quinlan. You haven't had much to say, John, if anything. Johnny Nolan, Freddie Sandich, Jeff Beale. You haven't said nothing either, Jeff. Yeah. Lenny Pearson. Len's another quiet one. Jackie Bostelman. Robert Beale, Alf, Hines, Jackie Babbage, Fred Armstrong. You're just about been in the news a bit lately, Fred, haven't you?
Oh, a little bit.
Mick Taylor, Neville Cork. I think I've just about covered him.
Tom there.
Oh.
Now, we're going to bring Tom in as soon as Tom's finished working the light. So, Tom, would you like to come around so we can get a photo of you? Tom was for many, many years one of the top referees of the Soccer Association, and he refereed many a game on this ground with the Fruit Growers Reserve. And Tom also in latter years was the secretary of the soccer, and a darn good one. Unfortunately, he's the soccer club's loss and the bowling club's gain because he's now on the committee of the bowling club. Have you got any memories, Tom, of your refereeing days?
Oh, yeah, I remember the good teams you used to have, and I was never very popular because they reckon I bent over backwards not to favour Spearwood in those days, which wasn't true, of course.
No, that's right.
But I didn't join the club until about 1950, the Charity Cup year, and I was here running the line most of the time, played a few reserve games, and Jeff Beale and myself went refereeing. Well, he went back playing after a year, and I carried on for another 20 years as a referee. Come back to what was become Cockburn United. I was president for 3 years and secretary for another 2 years, and hung around the club there for a while before I joined the bowling club about 6 years ago.
I think
Yeah.
it was Stan there, wouldn't it, Dale?
Jeff and me went refereeing at the same time.
Yeah, anyhow, chaps, look, it's been great seeing you all. Thanks for coming. And I'm hoping to catch you all again in the very near future because we've got more to do on the club. Plus we want to cover our Charity Cup win, which I think was the greatest win this club's ever had. And I say that because they were more or less all juniors coming from the ranks, controlled by Billy Stroyer. So I do think that would be worth just a special little bit on its own. Thanks, chaps.
Special thanks to Alan Beale for organising.
Yes, this is the Fruit Growers area. The Spearwood Rovers Spearwood Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association. This area of land which today houses our Civic Centre of Cockburn. This is the 30th anniversary this month since this land was handed over, Lot 1, Rockingham Road, Spearwood, to the Shire of Cockburn. Previously the Shire of Cockburn, now the City of Cockburn. I think the fruit growers will be very proud to see such a lovely complex. It is on Lot 1 Rockingham Road in 1993. Yes, I think it would be beyond all expectations of what the fruit growers of bygone years could see this site today. Besides this month being the 30th anniversary since the fruit growers handed over to the council, it is also the 80th year since the fruit growers was founded, back in May 1913. Yes, it certainly has come a long way since the old hall, or the fruit growers hall as we termed it as, on the top of the hill here, was a landmark for the early pioneers of Cockburn. This afternoon, 31st of March 1993, the councillors and the mayor, or should I say Mayor Don Miguel and his councillors, is holding a reunion of what fruit growers are still in the area to mark the appreciation of the bygone fruit growers for the contribution that they made to the district of Cockburn. So this afternoon I'm going to ask you to come with me and meet the gentlemen of the fruit growers, or representing the fruit growers, because each and every one of these are real gentlemen and still have the heart of Cockburn with them. To see Cockburn progress as it has done from their young days. Before we meet the elderly fruit growers and market gardens members, I'd like to tell you a story re the dances held in the old fruit growers hall between the 30s and the 50s. The young ladies of the Yugoslav community were very good patrons of the dances, but they always had their mother in attendance. And it was quite a joke by some of the soccer lads to turn off the main light switch. Reason being was that all the mothers carried a large torch, so as soon as the lights went out, it was like fairyland with all the torches being switched on. In other words, no touchy my daughter. But we had a lot of good fun, I can assure you.
Councillors and City Manager and my distinguished guests. I'm not going to get too formal. And Mr Haggett, our Freeman, OAM, and Mr Starver, also Freeman, OAM. I was approached about having people come here from the Old Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association some time ago by Alan. We did send out quite a lot of invitations, about 25 all up, trying with the names that we could round up for Alan. And I'm sorry there's not so many here. We've got another councillor, Councillor Gorsuch, who just rolled in. John is John. But you might recall, some of you I'm sure would recall, about 1 week ago, 30 years ago, we signed an agreement to hand over this land to the City of Cockburn. My notes are corrected, they've given me wrong, and if I haven't been affected by the last drink I had with Miro, that rocket
Don't blame me for it.
rocketed on the 20th of March in 1963. And the Fruit Growers and Market Garden Association was founded 50 years ago. But a lot of that is history that really I'm not equipped well enough to speak about. You gentlemen know so much more about it But what I am equipped to speak about is to realise how much you have done for the district, and at that time I'm sure you didn't quite realise just how much. All we had to do and all the things that you laid down was that we paid you £500 for rent outgoings, that we would bill you a hall, and that the Spearwood Rovers, the soccer club, would have a piece of ground down there. Leases were signed later. I even have those dates. I might jog your memory with a fine print. The draft lease for the soccer club in Shire was the 8th of August 62. A signed lease, re the fruit growers, and 1 and 2 Shire Council the 16th of December 65, and the £500 was paid into the fruit growers account on the 1st of November 63. Now Alan Beale, I don't know whether you've seen it, has made a tape of the history of the district, the fruit growers and the Market Gardeners Association, their meeting when they held to discuss the issues that I'm talking about now. If you haven't seen it, ask him for a loan of it, see it, it'll bring back one hell of a lot of memories. Memories that go back further than my input into the city of Cockburn. I only go back something like about 30 years approximately, 28 years of this council. You gentlemen go back much, much further. So if you haven't seen it, you've got to get hold of it and you've got to see it. It's quite good. But when you made that decision, I don't believe any of you knew then it was going to turn out like this. You wanted a hall, we built it. We built the library next. Then we built this. And then the council decided we're growing that fast from that time to about probably 5,000 people then. There was 6,000 when I started. You're looking down the barrel now at about 53,000. 52 officially 2 years ago, so 53, probably 55. And you wouldn't have realised and known then that it would grow like this. And what we must also take into account that by the year 2000, we're looking at another 30,000 people, approximately. That's going right through Jandakot. So here you are, you've given that land up. I believe your council of the day and through those days have made good use of it. They looked at having to shift out. They investigated sites in Jandakot, further south, and they decided after the investigation there was only one way to go, and that was to stay right here. And so they put another approximately 3 million under those additions next door. So your offshoots and when you made that decision 30 odd years ago, I don't think you realised what a benefit it would be to the city of Cockburn. And it's been my experience, being involved with Alan and so many of, from time to time with you people, with Wally and Miro, who go back further than me. It's been my experience that your input, not only as citizens, but your concern, your sense of responsibility has been well founded. I believe we have adapted to it well, and it's really, I'm sorry that another couple of weeks I'm just going to fade away too. But like you gentlemen, I hope I can be as fit as you are. Some of you are here over 80. Mr. Marinovich is one. And I just hope that I can come back and see this place grow as you've seen it grow. You talked about, I know Mr. Sukrock talked about his father coming out in 1929. 1906. And probably having to worry about the Aboriginals at that time, I would think. So all those things you did then, the decisions you made then, I think we've made good use of it. I hope you're proud of what we've done, and I'm just so sorry that not more of your original group has turned up today. We did send the invites out. We did get responses from a lot, but some did not respond at all. And I would ask you to be a little bit charitable, because we all know when we start to get into our 70s and 80s, some of us get very forgetful. And at the time we receive something, we mark it up, and then the next day we forget about it. So probably quite a lot of them are forgotten. With that, I'd like you to enjoy yourself. You've got a little bit of hospitality. And I thank the councillors, and I thank you very much for coming, and I thank you for what you've done for the city of Cockburn. And that's about all I've got to say.
Chief, while you gentlemen are sitting down, if you would like to go at the back, I would take a group photo of you.
Nice. Yeah.
Not really good picture.
Why should he get the act? He's only done all the work.
He's done his own videos. Oh yeah. Come on, where are you, Don? What about getting a seat around the front there? Get another seat over here, Don.
Yes, please.
Get a chair.
Another one.
Yeah, it's in your back.
Have a chair, sit down in front.
Sit down in front. Yeah. Come on, the stool.
See how it's up. Would you like to take a seat?
There, turn around, turn around so you can sit on it. There.
Right, if you'd like to get the chair a bit closer.
That's some cheese. That's
I'm a lady. Try cheese. There we go.
Okay. Right, Rod?
Come on, camera, action.
Right, we're going to eat now.
Here's your lunch, Don.
When did you come to Spearwood, Tom?
I came to Spearwood in 1916 as a little baby. My parents brought me down from Kalgoorlie, only 8 weeks old. I've been in Spearwood all this time, except for 7 years I did on the golf field.
And you were what, the last president of the fruit growers?
President of the Fruit Growers and Market Garden Association for several years.
Good, thanks, Tom. Miro. Sorry. Yeah, when did you come to Spearwood, Miro?
1945.
1945. And I bet you weren't sorry you come here either.
No, never regret the pit.
Thanks, Miro. Thanks. Good for you. Good. Now, Vid, come on, tell me. Vid Marinovic.
Come to Spearwood in 1929, and ever since I, kept close touch to Spearwood.
And you've kept and enjoyed Spearwood, haven't you?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you, Vid.
I've got a flat tire.
Now, Tony. Roglic, am I right?
Yes.
How long have you been in Spearwood, Tony?
About 45 years.
45 years. Geez, you're only a baby yet. You've seen a big difference, haven't you?
That's a lot of difference. I'm glad too.
You reckon it's been for the better?
Yeah, for the better, much better.
That's good. Thank you.
Good. Yakovich here.
Dick Yakovich. How long have you been around, Dick?
Since 1937.
37. And what's your opinion of Cockburn today?
Terrific.
Terrific, isn't it?
Yeah, terrific, yeah.
Certainly a lot different than what it was the old days.
Oh, yeah, the old fruit growers, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Dick. Start talking. Sam.
Yes.
Sam Sukroff.
Yep.
How long have you been around Spearwood, Sam?
Since 1935.
Since 35.
Yeah,
And have you enjoyed your time in Spearwood?
all the time.
Well, you certainly have seen a difference from the days when you'd take stuff to market or your produce to market and you'd just about be lucky if you paid for the cartage. Is that right?
When I come, there was only horse tracks wherever you went. I used to live at the Yukich Place on the Oven Road there.
In the which road?
Oven Road.
Oh, yeah.
Corner Oven Road and
Yeah.
Rockingham Road.
Yeah.
It was only bush track from Memorial Hall up along the agriculture hall down to Beale Stroyer Place. And there, look at that there.
And you've enjoyed your time here?
Beautiful. We are very proud to be here and be one of the Australians.
Good. Thank you, Sam.
All right, Bill.
Yeah, I'm Jack Bostelman, and I was associated with the soccer club from I suppose 1927 right up to 1960. Indirectly still associated with through Alan. And at the time of the transfer of the land, I think that Alan and I, we may have been trustees. Anyhow, I'm not too sure.
We signed the first lease, Jack.
Did we sign the?
Yeah.
I think Gary Taylor was mixed up.
Yeah, three of us.
Yeah, that's right. And of course that was many years ago. What was it, 1963?
Well, the pre-lease, with it, you were the main one that went through. It was 1962.
Oh yeah.
That was the first. What would you call it?
Yeah, I was treasurer at the time of the soccer club. I suppose I was probably 25 years treasurer of the soccer club.
Yeah.
But sadly, in recent years, we've got other interests and gone away a bit. But still got my heart in Spearwood. We lived at the top of Newton Road, adjoining the primary school. And well, I go up there now and again, just have a look and see what's up there. But unfortunately, there's not even the old fig trees.
So you've got a lot of memories, though, Jack. From haven't you?
Oh yeah, the old well that we had is still there, but unfortunately, I think it was a bit dangerous. They concreted it over, and it's covered in stones now. It's got a little, I suppose, a great heap of ornamental stones and a bit of greenery and that sort of thing in it. But right underneath there is a 110-foot well.
Yep, you know all about it, Jack. You went up and down it many times.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Jack, and thanks very much.
Thanks, Alan.
In doing so, of course, sincerely welcome each and every one of you. On behalf of my council and the staff of the City of Cockburn to this Australia Day ceremony and later to the official opening of our building. With us we're very good. Mr Gary Kelly, MLC from the South Metropolitan, Mr Bill Thomas, MLA, the member for Cockburn. We have Mr Wally Hagan, OIM, JP Freeman and Mrs Hagan, Mr Miro Sidaro, OIM and JP, and our councillors and partners and all of you distinguished guests throughout the world. I'll just quote one where we've led with the Sarich engine. Unfortunately, we collectively didn't have the foresight to be able to keep it here. But in looking at all those successes, we must, I feel, cast our mind to our mistakes.
Well, I have with me Mr Wally Hagan, Freeman of the City of Cockburn, Mr Jack Bosserman. Jack spent the best part of his youth, I think, in Cockburn, and Nola Waters, so we say, one of the modern heights of Cockburn. Jack and Wally, this afternoon must bring back many, many memories to the pair of you because you've spent all your youth in the district. What's your opinion? Do you think it's been quite successful getting what is left of the fruit growers here this afternoon? What do you think, Jack?
Well, it's very successful. A little bit disappointing, as Don said. He expected a few more here, and they just didn't turn up because it was perhaps old age or forgetfulness or something. It's just a pity that they weren't here. But I think it's a very good little ceremony, very good little afternoon, and I enjoyed being here.
And no doubt brought back many memories to you, Jack.
Oh,
yes. What do you reckon, Wal?
Well, I think I've got a great feeling because Jack and I are 42nd cousins, and I hadn't met him for many, many years. And to meet the chaps in there that were instigators of holding the Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association together, it's been an inspiration to me because I remember when Mike Merson wrote that book, Cockburn, the Making Community, we were 5 years too late in picking up the memories because all the old chaps died in the really 5 years. You were lucky that you have picked up as many of the old Fruit Growers and Market Gardeners Association that you have here today. I congratulate you on getting them together. It's a great effort.
Yeah, it was never too late, Wal. As I say, even in your case alone, you've met Jack, who you haven't seen for many years, one of your old schoolmates, and I think that alone is worth something. But Nola, you're the modern Cockburn. What's been your impression as a councillor?
Of now or over the years?
Oh, well, over the years of council of Cockburn and the fruit growers area generally, because that's basically what we're on.
Well, I can remember back as far as when the soccer team was still playing on the second oval here, down where the car park is now. My eldest son played soccer there against Cockburn United, and that would have been in the late
60s?
early 70s.
Late 60s, early 70s.
Early 70s when we played. So that I've seen the area develop a fair amount. I was on council when this building was built, so that I've seen Cockburn change a great deal since I first came onto council, and I think it's for the better.
Yeah, and it gives you a certain amount of satisfaction being a councillor, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly does,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, that's
yes,
right.
I've thoroughly enjoyed my time, and I think I've learned that I'm part of Cockburn, and being on council I think has helped me do that, yes.
Thanks, Nola. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Wal.
Yeah, thanks, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about that little bit of sound, Nola. I, Alan Beale, hope you have enjoyed learning little of the Fruit Growers and Market Gardens Association. Miro Sadarov mistook my meaning read time in our district, and it was 1936, not 1945. They were some of the few that are still in the district, and I think you will agree they were a fine example representing their fellow members of the Fruit Growers and Market Gardens Association 1913-1993. And may God bless them all. Bye for now.